In today's story, we'll dive into a tale of love, loss, and the surprising way life can reignite hope when we least expect it. This is the story of a man who had all but given up on happiness, only to find that love can arrive in the most unexpected forms. It's a heartwarming reminder that life is full of surprises, and that sometimes the moments that catch us off guard end up being the ones that heal us the most. Our story begins with Paul, a man in his early 50s. Paul had lived a quiet, ordinary life filled with work, routine, and family. He had been married to his high school sweetheart, Claire, and together they had built a life centered around their love for each other and for their only child, a daughter named Emma. Paul and Claire had a beautiful marriage, one that grew stronger over the years as they navigated the ups and downs of life together. They were inseparable, partners in every sense of the word, sharing dreams, laughter, and even the little annoyances that come with long-term companionship. But life has a way of changing in an instant, and for Paul, that moment came when Claire was diagnosed with a rare illness. Despite their hope, love, and best efforts, Claire's health deteriorated quickly, and within a year, she was gone. Paul was devastated. The loss of his wife left a hole in his life that seemed impossible to fill. Emma, though deeply affected as well, had her own life to manage, and soon after, she moved across the country for a new job. Paul felt proud of her, of course, but with Claire gone and Emma far away, the house felt empty. Loneliness began to consume him, and he withdrew from friends and social activities, sinking into a routine that felt more like simply existing than truly living. Months turned into years, and Paul's world became small and quiet. He spent his days working, his evenings alone, and his weekends in solitude. Though he loved his daughter and kept in touch, he felt that he was slowly becoming a shadow of the person he once was. He'd convinced himself that his chance for happiness had come and gone with Claire, and he resigned himself to living out his days in loneliness. But life, as unpredictable as ever, had other plans for Paul. One rainy afternoon, Paul was at the grocery store, absent-mindedly wandering the aisles with a list that he barely looked at. As he turned down one aisle, he noticed a small dog, a scruffy little thing with a floppy ear and soulful brown eyes sitting by the entrance of the store, shivering and drenched from the rain. The poor creature was alone, with no collar and no one nearby to claim him. Paul felt an unexpected tug at his heart. He hadn't thought about getting a pet, especially after Claire's passing, but something about this little dog's sad, lonely eyes stirred a feeling inside him he hadn't felt in a long time. Without much thought, Paul approached the dog, kneeling down to see if it had any identification. Finding none, he gently scooped up the trembling dog and asked around the store, but no one seemed to know where he had come from. The store manager suggested that Paul take the dog to a shelter, but as Paul held the tiny creature in his arms, he couldn't bring himself to let go. That evening, Paul brought the dog home, dried him off, and gave him a warm meal. As he watched the little dog settle in, curling up on the couch with a content sigh, Paul felt a surprising warmth in his chest, a small flicker of companionship that had been absent for so long. He decided to name the dog Max, a name Claire had always loved and had once mentioned if they ever got a pet. It felt like a small nod to her memory, and it made him smile. As days passed, Max quickly became a fixture in Paul's life. His once quiet home was now filled with the pitter-patter of little paws and the occasional bark. Max followed Paul everywhere, bringing a sense of joy and purpose back into his life. Paul found himself laughing again, playing with Max, and even going for long walks in the park, something he hadn't done in years. With Max by his side, he started to reconnect with the world around him, finding solace in simple moments. Max had an incredible way of brightening Paul's day. Whether it was greeting him with boundless energy when he returned home from work or curling up next to him on the couch, Max had become Paul's constant companion. Over time, Paul noticed that he felt less alone. For the first time since Claire's passing, He was looking forward to his days, finding joy in caring for Max and in their growing bond. He couldn't help but marvel at how a chance encounter with a lonely, abandoned dog had brought so much light back into his life. One day, while on their usual walk in the park, Paul met a woman named Sarah. She was also walking her dog, a fluffy little Pomeranian who seemed as cheerful as Max was scruffy. The dogs, naturally, took to each other immediately, their playful barks filling the air as they bounded around in circles. Sarah laughed, and so did Paul, and in that moment, they struck up a conversation. Sarah was warm, friendly, and as it turned out, had also experienced her share of loss. They spoke about their lives, their pets, and the unexpected ways animals had helped them heal. As the days went on, Paul and Sarah began meeting regularly at the park, their casual conversations slowly deepening into something more meaningful. Their friendship grew, rooted in shared experiences and an understanding of each other's loneliness. They found comfort in each other's presence, and as time went on, that comfort blossomed into a quiet, gentle love. Paul couldn't believe how much his life had changed. From a lonely man who had lost hope, he had found new meaning in companionship, not only with Max, but now with Sarah as well. They took things slowly, each respecting the other's journey of healing. Sarah became a part of Paul's life, a steady presence who brought laughter, warmth, and understanding. She didn't replace Claire, but she offered something beautiful in her own way, a new beginning, a chance for love and happiness that Paul had thought was beyond his reach. Max continued to be a joyful presence, bringing Sarah and Paul even closer as they navigated their new relationship. They found themselves spending weekends together, sometimes going on long walks with their dogs, other times simply enjoying quiet evenings at home. With Sarah and Max by his side, Paul felt that he had been given a second chance, a reminder that life could still hold love and laughter, even after loss. One evening, as they sat together with their dogs curled up nearby, Paul looked over at Sarah and smiled. He realized that he was no longer the lonely man he had been. He was a man with love in his life, someone who had found healing and happiness in the most unexpected way. Sarah squeezed his hand, as if sensing his thoughts, and he knew that their connection was something special, something neither of them had anticipated, but both were grateful for. This story is a testament to the fact that love comes in many forms, sometimes in ways we don't expect. For Paul, it was an abandoned dog that led him out of the shadows and back into the light. And from there, he found a companion who understood him, who shared his journey, and who reminded him that happiness was still possible. Thank you for watching. If this story touched your heart, please remember to like, share, and subscribe for more stories that remind us of the power of love, healing, and the unexpected moments that bring joy back into our lives. Until next time, take care, and remember that no matter how dark things may seem, there's always a chance for love to find its way back to us.